Happy Thursday. Hope everybody's doing good tonight. As everybody knows, the annual catalog has been released, and tonight we're going to be working on some new products. Just give me a second. And the new product is called Color and Contour. It's a really pretty stamp set that really brings out the artist in you. Very nice lined images, very artsy. And then the dies that go with it are these really pretty rectangle frames, has a little scalloped edge, and then you can cut out the two flowers, and these are what I'll be using for tonight's card. Hi, Do. Hey, Karen. Hi, Sonia. Thank you so much. My comments are not working. I'm just looking now. So I do not see anybody's comments. And actually, the one that I wrote just disappeared. So if you'll give me a minute, I will get my cord.
Let me shut this off.
No, that's okay. Okay, sorry about that. I wanted to get the cord, excuse my arm, from my iPad. Then this way I can at least see everybody's messages. I hate being unable to see the comments. I hate it. Yeah, I figured as much. Hey, Margaret, how are you? You have to take care of those pretty horses. Okay, so getting back. So we're going to use the Color and Contour, and the cards are using the new Pale Papaya. Hey, Do, how are you? Thank you, Maggie. The Pale Papaya ribbon, ink, paper. The Designer Series paper is the Pansy Petals. And the dies for this card are from Hippo Happiness. So they're cute, fun fold cards. So this one lays flat and then opens to a really neat little shape. And then the second one actually opens, and I have to be honest, I used glue dots to hold it together while I took the picture. But this one actually opens just like this. So that's another fun fold card. But before we get started, I just have a couple announcements to make. On June 1st, we're going to be having a Zoom class. And we're going to be using You Are Amazing, the kit from the January to June mini catalog. So if you would like to get in on this before the kits are all out, I would suggest you purchase it. And I'd like you to use the code here on the bottom. This is actually pinned to the top of the page. We'll be making 6 alternate projects with the kit, and you'll get the link to the Zoom room, plus, hey Peggy, how are you? Plus, you'll get a free PDF with all the dimensions for the 6 alternate projects. So that's going to be for June 1st at 7:30. And also, I'd like to announce that I am on a team. Let me move this up a little. Create with Us International Tutorial Bundle Team. There's 14 of us in the group. This month we use the sweet strawberries, and you can either purchase the tutorial from me, and it's on my blog. Yes, I love the new calendar too. It is awesome. Hey, Peggy. You can either purchase it for $20, or with every $50 purchase for the month of May, I will send it to you for free. So these are the sneak peeks. You can see it up close on my blog if you'd like to take a look. Then, if anybody's interested in joining, Stampin' Up! Is having a special, $155 worth of product instead of $125 worth of product for the same $99. Plus, if you join my team, I will design your blog for free, and it's a service that I charge $200 for. So that's an added bonus for you joining my team. And last but not least, tomorrow I am going to be posting a retired product for my buy one get one free sale. I will post this flyer in the group after I get offline, so you can at least read it. But how it's going to work is I'm going to create an album in the group of all the products that I have for sale with its price. And if you would like that product, you would put sold under the picture, and then you would have to purchase that amount of money on my at my online store. And once everything is taken care of and I've seen your post and you've gotten your invoice, I will mail you free product. So, like I said, so you can read this and look it over later on tonight or tomorrow. It's the buy one get one free sale. The whole sheet explains everything. Okay, so let's get started. I think we'll do this card first. Now it is, like I said, we're using the pale papaya. I was going to say pale pizzazz. And it is the normal size, 8.5 by 5.5. The only difference is I scored it at 2 1/8 and then turned it and scored it at 2 1/8. Oop, I must have gotten it in the ink. So we're just going to fold it on the score lines. Oh, that's not right. Look at that. First card and I made a mistake already. You know what I did? I think I cut this too long. No, 8.5. Okay, let me cut another one. Hold on one second. Already I'm making a mistake. Can you believe it? And I did this, made sure everything was right. Okay. There we go. Since I have ink on it anyway, it's a good idea to change it up. Alright, so before I score this, just let me check to make sure that it's 2 1/8. I'm going to check it with the ruler. Yes, it is. Now, why was that wrong? Isn't that crazy? Just want to see. 2 1/8. 2 1/8. Okay, we'll try this again. So we're going to score it at 2 1/8. And then I'm going to turn it around and we're going to score it at 2 1/8. So how's that for starting off with a bang? Never fails, huh? Now it should fit, and it does. I must have scored it wrong. Now, I have seen this card where not only did they score it like this, but they also had the other flap here. So it would be, it would open up to 12 inches. And I just figured instead of adding that extra little flap, hey Christine, how are you? Good morning. Because I am adding the extra layer on the inside, I'm adding an extra layer on the flaps, so I figured I would take away these extra flaps that would have been on the card, because it's cost enough to send everything to begin with, and that added little bit just adds to the cost. So for these two side front panels, get rid of that ruler, we're going to do 5 3/8 by 2, and then 5 1/4 by 1 7/8. And all we're going to do is layer these together. Let me just get a good glue here. So I hope everybody's doing good. I finally, yesterday, got all my air conditioners in. And I had, with putting the air conditioners in, I had to move furniture. So you know what happens when you move furniture, you got to clean. So I got all the airs in, moving furniture, pushing and pulling the couch and the air conditioners, and I pulled my shoulder. So it is sore today. Never fails. Thankfully, it's my left arm, though, so I don't have to worry about about not being able to use my arm. Although I do use my left hand a lot. Okay, so we're just going to add this to the front panel. And I made the mistake right at the beginning. Hopefully I won't make a mistake on the little pieces that we have to add to the front. Now when I get this first panel on, what I'm going to do is, just so it is pretty even, I am just going to line these up so it lines up with each end. This way the front of the card won't look, where we're working with stripes, it won't be so uneven. Now for the front of the card, we have our little strips, and these are 1 3/4 inches wide. And when they fit on the card front, they are, exactly the same length as the designer series paper. So when we get these on the card, they will line up with the designer series paper on each end, but we'll have just a little hair of the designer series paper on each side. And then for the front of the card, this is 1/8 of an inch smaller. So we're going to have to cut it. Let me just make sure, because I don't want to mess this up. So it's 1 3/4 I was so off today when I was cutting. Okay, 1 3/4. Let's just write this down so I know where to cut it. Okay, so this is our front. So we're going to pull out, let's just make some room here. Our basic white and our pale papaya. And I'm also grabbing the Evening Evergreen. Really pretty color. So for the front of this card, what I'm going to do is grab the Evening Evergreen. Wow, it's so dark, isn't it? My light blew out in the back, that's why. And we're just going to stamp this flower on an angle. And I should have used the pad. Just like that for the front of the card. And you know, while we're thinking about it and I'm stamping this image, I don't know if anybody's noticed, but you know how the old stamp sets, and I don't even know if I have one, yes I do. You have your images on the acetate sheets, and then whatever the stamp is, maybe it has it on the sheet so you can match it. Well, the new stamp boxes, they do come on the little sheets, and I'm saving them for shaker cards. But they now have all the images imprinted on the inside of the case. So when you're done with the stamp, you can just stick it right into the case and take a quick look to see if anything's missing. Such a good idea. Okay, so we stamped the flower. I'm going to get the pad out. I need a new one. And let's just grab a scrap piece of paper and grab a few. We're going to use these little dots. And we're just going to stamp these randomly in the corners. And I like to turn the stamp every now and then, just so it's a little bit more random. And where we will have a sheet, 3 pieces, I didn't want to leave the center piece without. So we're just going to add some dots right here to the center. Just like that. Yeah, I'm okay, Dew. My shoulder's just killing me. Okay, now for this stamp, there is a stamp to fill in with color. And this one actually lines up fairly nice. I am going to stand, but it does, if you look at it and finagle it a bit, it does fill in fairly nicely. Just a little artsy. It doesn't fill in the lines completely, but it does give you some nice color. Excuse me. Then I'm going to grab my soft succulent, which is another new in color, and I'm just going to fill in this leaf. You don't have to, because this is a pretty artsy type stamp. But I just like filling in just to add a little bit more color. And then let's get that sentiment on here. Let's see. I got all my stamps stuck here. And I'm using the Here For You Now so I could place the other sentiment in the middle. And I just want to make sure that I don't have any little hairs from my cat. because you know when you stamp and there is a hair, you're going to get that hair print on your image. Okay, so we're going to go back to the evergreen, ink it up, and we're just going to add this right here on the bottom. There we go. Close this up. Now we have to cut this to size, and I am going to make sure I get these right. So this one has to be about 1.5. Just want to make sure. Okay. And we're going to cut. Oops. See if it's the right size. There you go. So that's one. Just in case, like I said, this morning I had such a hard time trying to cut straight lines. I don't know what the heck happened. Okay, so then we're going to do the next piece, and hopefully that fits. And I'll have the PDF for this on the in the group. And then this one, I'm just going to trim this off just a hair. Okay, so now we have our image, and it's cut. So we just have to pull in our card, and like I said, it's going to line up with the DSP at the top. So before we do anything, let's get the top piece on. So we're just going to glue this, and you want to make sure you get your corners. Just move that out of the way a second. And again, make sure that you put them on the right way. Now, we only want to, as you can see, we're only going to glue it on one side. You don't want to glue both sides, so make sure you just get yourself lined up. This is how I did it. Line it up with the top of your DSP. Get your sides so they look a bit even. And then lift it up, and I just put my thumb right about where my end line would be for my glue. And then just turn it over and add your glue. And again, you want to make sure that you put this on the right side, right way up, right side up, because we're working with the image. And line it up with your DSP. Just going to lift it so I can see. And I just curled that corner. Okay, so then we have the first image up. Now we're going to grab this middle one. And again, we're just going to layer this together. Put enough glue, but not too much that it shows through. And center it. I love using glue because it gives me that extra couple of minutes, especially on a day where I couldn't cut a straight line to save my life. Okay, so this piece, we're going to line it up directly under. Let's make sure that we still have it in place. And we do. Just going to scooch it over. We're going to glue it on the right-hand side this time. So I picked it up. There's my stop line, is my thumb. And now that we have our first piece, we can line up the second piece right under it. As you can see, we have our space on either side. Make sure that's glued down. And then we're going to do the same thing with the last piece. Looks like such a difficult card when you look at it, but it's actually just a piecemeal card. Thanks. Hey Kathy, how are ya? I'm doing really well. How about yourself? Yeah, this set is very pretty. There's a lot of nice sets, I have to say. This, they really outdid themselves with this catalog. Really, really gorgeous. Okay, so we're going to just lift this up. Excuse me. Add our glue. I don't want to go too far. And then we're just going to, again, line it up. Make sure we get that DSP covered. And there's the front of the card. If you saw yesterday's card, I used the one of the frames for the card. They're so pretty. And I have a trick to show you when it comes to stamping the other flower. Okay, so now that we got that finished, let's just grab some pretty little gems, and these are the new In Color jewels, and we're using the papaya, and we're just going to stick on 3, and we're just going to add them on randomly. Kathy, your order is in the mail, so hopefully you'll get it. Just so you know, I'm telling you now, I did mail it. It is in the mail. When I had my, well, I'm thinking about it. When we did the mystery card event, and I was sending everybody out the 6x6 paper, well, one of the ladies that was there won a gift. Karen, you know you got yours. I mailed it on April, what was it? April 10th. She still has not gotten it. We checked the tracking, and that package is still in transit somewhere in the Carolinas. So, crazy mail. Okay, so now we're going to take care of the inside. I have a 5 3/8 by 4 1/8 piece of designer series paper, just the same as what I did for the front panels. And then a piece of basic white 5 1/4 by 4. So for the inside, I am going to switch out my sentiment and grab this sentiment that says, "and in better days ahead." And we're going to pull out our papaya first. Move this out of the way. And we're going to grab these little dots. And we're going to do the same thing we did to the front, but all we're going to do is hit the corners. We're not going to put the one in the center. Just like this. Hit all the corners. Close that up. Grab our evening evergreen. And we're going to just stamp the second part of our sentiment right here on the bottom. Really nice font too, very artsy font on this in this set. And then we're just going to adhere this to the Designer Series paper. Now I know it's crazy because you only see a little teeny tiny piece of the Designer Series paper. But you can see it. So it just adds a little bit of something right around the edge of your basic white. And then we're just going to take this, insert it on the inside of the card, making sure it's centered. And it's not, so let me just lift that up a little bit. There we go. There. And there is our card. See, that's what happened when I was trying to take my picture today. It kept popping open. So I used the little glue dots to save me. But so here's the first card for tonight. I hope you like it. I thought it was so pretty, and I'm really, really loving this color. I wasn't too sure at first, but I really do. Oh my gosh, you got it today? Holy smokes, that's impressive, because what's today? Thursday. I believe I ran to the post office on Monday. So that's really great. Thank you so much for letting me know. Okay, so now let's go on to card 2. Now for this card, where we are using Designer Series paper, our Designer Series paper is gorgeous. It is a heavy paper, but for the card, I just didn't feel it was strong enough. So I have the Designer Series paper, and what I also did was made a card base of 5.5 by, let's see, I think I said 5.5 by 4 1/4. Just so the card itself, and you'll see it right here, is just a little bit sturdier and a little bit heavier. And then when you, a dot fell off. And then when you open it up, there's an additional layer on the inside behind the basic white. I'm just looking, my little pearl fell off. So this way it's just a little bit heavier than just the Designer Series paper. Let me just stick that on there. Okay, so let's go to this paper. It is 5 1/4 by 12. And then it is scored at 2, 4, I think it's 8, and 10. Now when you score your Designer Series paper, just be careful that you don't press too hard, because you could, put a hole in it. So we're going to make sure that the inside has the pansies, and we're going to turn it this way so the pansies are right side up. If you're not using a paper that you have to worry about the direction, don't worry about it, but I almost did put it in upside down. So we're going to fold it in, and then we're going to fold it out. Same thing on the other side. Where's that? Make sure I got it. I didn't press very hard. Fold in and then fold out. So here is the basic card base. Now, before we set this on the cardstock, I just want to get this, it's just off a teeny tiny little bit. Like I said, that's been my whole day today. Okay, before we put this on the card base, what we're going to do is, now if I can find where I stuck it, we're going to grab my ruler, and we're going to measure down. Now this is the top of the card. We're going to measure down from the top of the card 2.5 inches. And I'm just going to grab my pencil, and I'm going to put a mark at 2.5 inches. And then I'm going to turn it around, and I am going to mark at 2.5 inches on this side. And I'm just going to make sure that I did do 2.5 on both sides, and I did. And we're going to grab our cutter, and what we're going to do is line up from the score line to that line we just drew, and we're going to cut that piece off. So you're going to line up the mark you made, line up the score line right at the blade on top and bottom, and cut it off. Now this piece is going to go out down here on the bottom, and it is a little bit too wide. So while I have it here, I'm just going to trim off just a tiny little piece, just like that. And then we're going to jump around to the other side and do the same thing. Line up the mark we made with the score line, make sure it's straight, and cut it off. And then put this back in, and we're just going to cut off a teeny tiny little piece, just like that. Okay, so now that we have our card base, or the card itself, let's attach it to the base. So we're just going to glue it. I could use the seal, but again, I just love glue. If you happen to make a mistake, it's a little easier to remove when you glue it than it is to remove when you remove it with seal. So this is about 1/4 of an inch difference, and we just want to make sure it's centered. And if it isn't, just center it a little bit. Just want to make sure I got it right. Oops. Okay. So now we have our card. It's on its base. Now, these little... Okay, what did I do with it? It just seemed to like disappear. Here's one. It probably fell on the floor. How crazy is that? I do this every time. Okay, so here is one corner, and this little corner is going to go right here. So let's glue this down. Hey, did you see where that piece went? It's probably right here in front of me. And we're just going to put this right here in the bottom corner. Just like that. So it matches the top. You have to use a little bit less glue, too. Instead of putting a thick line, just grab your glue, and when you put it in the back, don't press so hard, and just spread it out just so, see, it's not really a thick line, it's just scribbled on. And if you work it, if you do it like that, you will not have, you won't see the glue come through. Okay, I'm just going to move this down a little, so I'm trying to line it up with this bottom piece here. Okay, so now doesn't it look like I have folded this triangle into the center? So pretty, isn't it? I love the paper. I think that's my favorite. So for the front, like I said, I used the Hippo Happiness dies in the papaya and the basic white. And we're going to stamp the flowers again and die cut. And I also put a leaf in the back here. So let's just grab a piece of paper. I'm going to show you, let me grab the box. This is the flower we're going to use. Now it's a two-stepper again. It's the outline and the inside. And if you get this product and you look at the front of your case, the flowers are in the exact same position as you're going to stamp them. So when they're inside, they're not. But if you notice, this one petal right here on the flower has a fold in it. Can you see? Right here. There's a little fold in this petal. So if you look at the stamp itself, let me just see. I'm trying to think. Just want to make it right. Okay. This is how the flower should sit. It has a little square petal and a little square petal here. So that is the way this stamp will go. Now when you go to the solid stamp, you can see it has a little tail here. Here's the tail on the bottom. So when you stamp the inside, oh, you received your order. Yes, awesome, Margaret. This is the way this stamp, let's set it straight this way. That's the way it's going to be stamped. So let's grab the pale papaya. We're going to do the outline first. Like I said, we're going to use this square petal as our guide and stamp just like that. And I'm just going to pull this up. Here's the little curved piece. Now again, it's not a perfect fill, but I'm actually going to stamp off, and you can line this up oops, and you can see it doesn't fill in the petals completely, but that is how you line up the stamp. Now I did stamp one and cut it out, and I would suggest that, and let me see what I did with it. I would suggest that when you do finally find the right way to do it, that you mark. So now we know this is the bottom of the flower. once you find how this cuts out, mark the bottom of your die to the bottom of this flower. If you don't, you're going to drive yourself crazy. So that's what I did. If you can see that little tiny mark there, that's telling me that that goes at the bottom of this flower. Oops. And that is how I'm going to cut it out. So just a little forewarning. So I did cut it out. So we're going to grab another piece of paper, and we did do this flower before, but we'll do it again. And we're going to grab the evergreen, evening evergreen, give it a good stamp, and then we're going to grab the pale papaya again. Getting a little crowded here on the desk. This one is actually easy. You know, there's really no fuss to this other than it does make it easier to stand over top of it. And just stamp that. And again, I did cut one out. Just like that. And the die, this die actually is perfect. There really is no fussing with this one. It cuts out very nicely. Staying with the evergreen, we're going to pull in our one layer and the leaf. I cleaned my blocks. Now what I did, just to make sure everything was going to fit and I'd be able to see that leaf, I just put my little flower and everything on just to give me, hey Christy, oh yeah, you could actually. You could make it a little pocket and put little tags or something in it. That's actually a good idea. I'll have to give that a try. If you just run, Christy's saying, if we just run some glue down the edges, outside edges, this would actually become a pocket. And you could put little tags or something inside. Awesome idea. Thank you. So that's where I am going to set it up. And I just want to get that leaf under this flower. So we're just going to add it right about here. There we go. We're going to grab our little flower. And this one I actually just glued down. And I don't want to put too much because I know it's going to lay over. So we're just going to set that down. And then for our flower, we're going to pop him up. Let's grab some dimensionals. And at this point, it doesn't really matter which way you set your flower. Just like that. And then I wanted to pop it back up onto the pale papaya. Okay. off a little. If you don't press down too hard before, so you can line it up. See, I didn't give it enough space. Just gonna move it over. As long as you don't press down, you can have a little leeway. Okay. Grabbing the card again. This, I did actually pop it up. And again, you want to remember, you're only going to do half. So we're just going to put dimensionals on half of this label. I have a tendency to rush and sometimes put things in upside down. I've done that before. So I'm just going to use the middle seam and these two pieces here, and that is how I'm going to center it. Let me just see how far I do have it overlapped a little. And that looks like it's centered here. I want to move that over. Just going to lift it for a second. And that looks straight. And then we can press it down. For the front of this card, I grabbed some pearls and the light pale papaya marker. And I just, am I on screen? Yep. And just color those pearls. I usually color with the other side. You want to be careful if you're coloring a gem that is textured. You really don't want to. Oh, me too, Margaret. Should have a blooper reel, because I could fill a blooper reel. If I'm in a rush or have something on my mind, I'm always making some sort of error. But we're all human. What are you going to do? I always say, I can't lift this up. I always say, that's why paper has two sides. Just turn it over. Okay, so we're just adding pearls to the corners. I mean, it is a little warm in here tonight, so they didn't really dry very well. But yeah, that's why paper has two sides. Okay. Now we get to the end. Let's grab our ribbon. Pale papaya ribbon. Get this out of the way. We'll tie our bow. I don't know if everybody knows. Hold it between your pointer and your thumb. Wrap it around your fingers. And then just pick your thumb up and hold that tail down. Cut yourself enough. I usually cut it too short. Grab your tail, go between your fingers, and then go back under your ribbon and through your fingers. Grab your tail. Now this tail, that loop you just made, you're going to stick that tail through the loop and to the right hand side of that tail and pull. Just pull on your tails a little just to tighten up that knot, and then you can remove it from your finger. Make sure your little loops are just about the same size. If they're not, you can hold on to them and just pull or pull the little loop to even it out, and that's your bow. Oops. Let's grab some glue dots. I'm just going to stick this over here I think the Amish guy is working in his fields. I smell the honey wagon. Okay, so we are in the middle of Amish country. That's where I live. And right behind me is a cow field. I go out there to visit those little guys. I just love them. But, oh baby, when they are putting manure down, you sure know it. Okay, so I just added an in-color gem. I added the pearls to the corners. So let's open it up and do the inside. We have a layer of pale papaya, and then we have our layer of basic white. And we're just going to grab that flower. We're going to pull the flower onto the inside. Whenever you make a card, try to do the inside of your card too. Just going to make sure I have it lined up right. And all I'm going to do is add the flower, and then we're going to stamp off the inside. Just like that. Grab the evening evergreen, and this time let's grab a block here. This time we're using thank you for everything you do. Nope, thank you for everything. Now I like this text. Thanks, Kathy, because you don't really have to worry how straight it is. Thanks, Vicky. It's very artsy, and we're just going to center this right in the middle of the card. Close this up. Get rid of this. Now everybody knows that when you use photopolymer stamps, you should use the foam pad underneath. See, do just very lightly all over, not gobs. Gonna line up this center. That's what it was. I had put a little pale papaya flower. Make sure we get the corners. Almost put it in the finished card. I've done that before. If you've been with me long enough, you know I've done that before too. Definitely should have a blooper reel. Okay, that's straight. Okay, so there we go. 2 fun fold cards. Here's one. And like I said, I did use a little glue dot to hold the cards closed while I took the photos. And there's card 2. It opens up and shows the inside. Very pretty cards. I love the different design of this card. So if you order tonight, or you want to wait for the foam pad, when you're stamping with the photopolymer, you want to put a cushion under, because they don't have a cushion. So you want to use you'll get a much better stamp of your image if you have a pad under it. Same thing for your Stamparatus. If you're going to use photopolymer, use the pad that comes with your Stamparatus. If you're going to use, the rubber stamps, the rubber already has the foam attached to the stamp. That's why you can just stamp onto a flat surface. You get a much better image, stamped image, if you do photopolymer on foam. So if you order, or if you're going to wait for the buy one get one free sale tomorrow, for any order that's placed over 35, you'll get I think it's 24 sheets of designer series paper and double-sided tape, foam tape, flowers, and a Stampin' Spot for free. So thanks for joining me tonight, ladies. I hope you had a good time. I'll have the PDF in the group. Thank you so much, Margaret. I'll have the PDF in the group probably tomorrow morning. Maybe I'll get some of it done tonight. Who knows? Aw, great, Christy. I'm so happy. So if you have any questions or anything, feel free to post them in the group. And I'll have the PDF to you tomorrow. And I will have all the photos posted of the retired items that I'll have for sale. Ah, thanks, Stu. I have a package that'll be coming to you too, but I'm waiting for my order. I ordered you the turtles. So, have a great night, everybody. Thanks for joining, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.